Welcome to the Victorious POD podcast with your hosts, Jack Vickers and Tyler Herman.
What up, Pod Squad? Welcome in. We are back for another edition of the Victorious POD, coming at you with a little bit of some Week 4 recap stuff. We're going to be talking some less than ideal DFS results from yours truly. Sorry to let everybody out there down. And yeah, we got a little bit of a happy segment to come up for a change instead of some depressing talking about our home team where we're just going to drink the whole time. So lots of different stuff to cover on the episode. We're going to try to get into all of it in a decently timely fashion for you, get you guys out of here on your Tuesday night, Wednesday morning if you're watching during work or just trying to make it in before the commute's over. So before that, without further ado, we are going to bring in our brain behind the operation to ask the hard-hitting question of the week, the one that I've been working on for the last 7 days. I can't do math quickly to add up how many hours that is, but it's a lot of hours. So I have two options for you, Tyler, as far as
let's do it.
As far as best ideal thing you would like to have just affect your life going forward. So A, you can eat any food you want and you just get good nutrition out of it. No matter whatever you eat, it's good for you. You're not missing any vitamin D or any calcium, any crazy stuff like that, and you're healthy from it. It's as good as if you were eating all the superfoods there is in the world. Or B, you only have to have 1 hour of sleep per night to have it be completely rested. And then beyond that, you just get the other 7, 6, 5, however many hours of your day back. And you're not tired.
This one isn't even close for me. Give me the food nutrition for sure.
Okay.
Because
interesting.
It's great to only need the 1 hour of sleep. But guess what? Nothing is happening outside of those. It's still the middle of the night. There's still things happening. Other things are still closed. So give me the food nutrition and give me all the pizza and ice cream I want, and I'm about to be ripped.
My other thought, because that was obviously the obvious one for option A, but my other thought is if you're getting 7 hours back in your day, I mean, you just work out all that other time and still have the same, balance, or do your meal prepping or do your whatever. Like, I'm not thinking, oh, good, I only have to sleep 1 hour. I can get more errands done. I'm more just like, if the day doesn't feel like there's enough hours in the day and I'm like, man, I miss being able to play video games, or I miss being able to watch this show or read this book or do whatever else, then you get all that time back to do stuff. So
I get it, but there's nobody up to do that with. And believe me, we all know it's like playing video games by yourself is boring, but I'm like, wait, if you're just wide awake and you're ready to go at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, take it from the dad who's up in the middle of the night. I'm not trying to be up in the middle of the night. I enjoy my sleep.
Tired. That's this time you're just wide awake and you're like, oh, I feel great. Like I can do whatever.
That sounds even worse than that I'm just going to sit here bored. So I'm taking the food nutrition 100 out of 100 times.
Speaking as a new dad who goes to bed at 9 o'clock or whatever and is tired and doesn't stay up late to play games anymore, you could just do your 1 hour at 6 p.m. or something and then be like, all right, boys, I'm back. I'm ready for the 2 a.m. gaming session every night and not have to feel the effects. I mean,
again, you got to get people to do it with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the key. I'm like, I'm fine if I'd be good, but I need people to do it with me.
I'm awake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think of how much Fall Guys time we could.
Yeah, that's right. Dads assemble. This is we all take this option and then we'll be okay.
If it wasn't just me, that'd be better.
Right.
I will also go with the food nutrition one because my other fear was doubling down on if I picked the hour of sleep. All that means, knowing myself, is I'm just going to have 7 more hours to snack and eat poorly. So it's not only am I not getting the food nutrition, I'm also actually going to probably eat worse. So.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just going to be bored because it's going to be 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to watch movies and drink beer and it's all going to be horrible for me. And now if I can do that on the other side and I can do all that and not really have to work out because, I mean, hey, they say abs start in the kitchen. I can go eat all the pizza and drink all the beer I want and it's good for me. Oh, man, your boy's about to have some fun.
Am I just eating because I'm bored?
No, I'm eating because it makes me jacked.
Yeah, touche. All right, well, fair enough. We're both on that one once again. Let us know if you have any other thoughts. You do save some time not having to go to the gym. I'd go to the gym most days, and I mean, that's another hour of there and half an hour of prep and showering and whatever.
It's a lot,
It's a whole thing. All right. Moving on to less important stuff, so actual football things. Fan interaction zone, the tailgate zone. There we go.
Yeah, I feel like I should probably start drinking on this podcast. I feel like that should be a thing.
I'm continuing to drink because your boy had some tequila, some margaritas tonight. So we're feeling
that's right. That's right. Jack's about to get some spicy takes in here.
Jack's got three beers as backup to his continued margaritas. They were freaking big. Christine had a sip of hers.
Those looked large.
She was like, "You're gonna have to drink the last 3/4 of this because this is very strong." So, we'll
fine.
It's going to be a rambling night, as you guys can already see. So, moving into things, quick stuff: Discord, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all that jazz. We'll save time on the back end here and just say go check it out in the show notes below. Going into NFL news, I'll just kind of toss through a few of these here, and you can hop in and cut me off if you have any real takes. Otherwise, we'll just kind of rattle them off. But Thursday night football, the Lions decimated the Packers on Thursday night.
It was pretty ugly.
It looked pretty crazy. I blame Tyler still for talking me out of picking the Lions. Like I had them, and then I was like, you know what? Everything makes sense.
I was just wrong. Yeah, I was just purely wrong. I mean, obviously the turnovers didn't help, but the Lions just kicked the shit out of them from the beginning.
I think it was just like historical bias too, where I'm just like, the Packers always win, the Lions never do. Like it's just going to happen again.
And they were at home, and it was a pick'em, so I don't think anybody expected it to go that poorly. No. But I'm like, it was ugly.
Yeah,
got ugly fast.
It was insane. It looks like the Lions are going to have a pretty easy time if that's how they're going to show up against the Packers. I assume all the analysts early season were right. I didn't see it with everyone just easily picking them. So it's crazy not only that they're running away with it now, but also that the Packers are currently number 2. So I hope to God the Vikings catch them at least, but yeah, we'll see. Opposite kind of end of the time schedule, the Jags Falcons 8:30 London game on Sunday morning. It was gross. There's a reason they make certain teams travel to a different continent, and it wasn't pretty. Real quick, did you catch any of the Toy Story stream of that game?
I didn't, because I was like, we were out here, so 9:30 out here on the East Coast, so we were just out on our way out to church. So I didn't catch it, but I went back and just went on Twitter and watched some of that. That is impressive technology, the way they do that. So it looked pretty cool. I can see the draw for the kids. So looked pretty cool. Yeah. Touche, Disney, and ESPN.
It's no slime game like Nickelodeon did.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it was pretty cool.
Slime zone and stuff like that. That was pretty legit.
I watched the first half live, and I was switching back and forth between because I just had to show Christine during it too. But I saw the Bijan cut that was really, really cool. Everybody talked about after, and then the Trevor Lawrence kind of tuck and run, which was pretty well done.
Yeah, that's the clip I saw. I'll have to go back and watch the Bijan one.
Yeah, it was just like he did his typical where he makes everybody miss and break their ankles. Like his cuts just look better than others, but in Toy Story mode, it was also very good because the guy just like went sliding off the screen, and
that's so cool.
So it was entertaining. I wouldn't ever watch a full game of it or anything like that, but it's cool that they're trying different stuff just to add in viewership. So Bengals and Joe Burrow looked really lost. We'll kind of cover them a little bit later, but it's just like every week we just kind of keep waiting to be like, okay, but they're going to be back to normal. And I assume it's obviously still that he's injured, but man, you would think he would start to look like improvement, or that the team would have then taken a step back by now and said, we're going to give him a week or whatever. So
it's pretty ugly. We'll see. I got a couple more games. Yeah, I got a couple more games before their next bye, or before their week 7 bye. So we'll see. I don't know. It's been pretty ugly.
It will be amazing if it happens, like shocking wise, but I don't know that they're making the playoffs with how they're playing. So it's ugly. The Bills reminded everybody that they're one of the top AFC teams again. They shut down relatively the Miami Dolphins offense that looked unstoppable. So basically doubled up their score. Devon Achane looked crazy good. What's weird is that he did it back-to-back weeks now with like relatively low touches. Like he had like 10 touches or something like that, but everything's going for 1 billion yards. So it's just, he's getting a lot of the touchdown work. It's not like they're choosing not to feature Mostert. Like he didn't get significantly less touches or snaps than Achane did, but it's just happening for him. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see if it stays. It's not going to obviously stay at this level going forward, but it's pretty impressive back-to-back weeks now. So
for sure, Mostert fumbled a couple times. Obviously, not helpful when you got an incumbent trying to take you down. So that was brutal for him. We'll see what happens now, week 5, week 6. As remember, Jeff Wilson gets back into the mix here as well. So it'll be interesting for Achane. Obviously, I mean, he was truly kind of the split starter with Mostert before he got hurt. So I think Achan again. I think you can't put him back in the bottle. I think he's just slowly going to start to get 60% snap share, 65, 70. Start to take that over. Maybe not 70. They got too many weapons, but he looks legit. Keep rolling him out there.
Yep. The Eagles survive
baby.
the Washington Commanders. Tough win there. The fucking Commanders were the team that beat them last year when they were undefeated too. Like that late night Sunday or Monday night game.
Yeah.
So Commanders just seem to have their number. I don't know if it's just divisional rival or what, but Commanders could have gone for the 2-point conversion to win at the end. I feel like you would assume that probably was the right call to do, especially being the teams that they are. They just bad team. I feel like go for the win. Don't play for overtime because the better team's probably going to outlast you there. But
yeah, and they had their chance. Commanders got the ball first in OT, so they had their chance. But the fun for all the fun analytics people, technically kicking the extra point and going to OT is the right call. They put it up on the screen, 45% chance. They say if you go to overtime, you win. 43% chance if you go for 2. So minimal difference, negligible in my opinion. So I mean, I'm probably gambling and going for 2. You have all the momentum, score at the very last second, and they got to stop you. But so I'm not trying to give the Eagles the ball. It's like giving Mahomes or Josh Allen the ball. I'm not trying to give Jalen Hurts the ball in overtime. They're probably going to win.
Right. I think if you're just the underdog team and the one that's likely not making the playoffs, it's more of just like what do you have to lose? Go for it. Whereas like you said, if you were stopping the Eagles or hanging in with them all game, I don't want a 1-for-1 chance to win it. Like I think that they have a lot better chance in overtime and they're going to scheme it up. So I would rather take the ball out of their hands and see what happens. But oh well, hindsight. 49ers kind of picked this obviously early in the year. They were my NFC pick, but they're looking like not just the NFC but the most dominant team across the board. CMC, like 19 straight weeks or something of scoring a touchdown. It's some absurd number that he just every week it's like, oh, there he goes again. And you look at him in DFS and you're like, oh, pretty expensive, 8,800. Okay, well he's a top scorer in the week. I guess it makes sense. So it just
he was 9,200. Katie and I got him in our lineup and we had to do some finagling, but it was worth it. 20 for 106 and 3 on the ground, 7 for 71 and a touchdown through the air. Like the man's just a straight up cheat code.
And he does it differently in every week too. Like I mean, obviously 4 touchdowns really amps up the score, but also like
should have had 5.
Yeah. In a week where Debo was out and Ayuk was hampered, he still had a great game. But like it just seems he can do it anyway. And your best play on offense 90% of the time is to get him the ball. So it's just I don't know. I don't see how teams really are going to stop him as long as they can keep other healthy. So it's not just him. But
right.
Lastly, moving into the little bit of news that we can actually be excited about for a change, so Tyler doesn't have to hang his head. I'll toss it to you for the quick Vikings 60-second synopsis so we can keep her quick. I'll just let you share.
Yeah, and they were out here in Carolina. I had a few friends that went out to the game. I should have gone to the game. I honestly kind of forgot that I was here. But Vikings took down the Panthers 21-13. It was pretty ugly on offense across the board. Cousins 139, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Turnovers continue to be a thing. JJ is still a monster, 6 for 85 and 2. Addison got a straight up goose egg, so that was real interesting. Hawk had a terrible game, 2 for 24. But Mattinson and Akers both did just fine on the ground, 17 for 95 for Mattinson, Akers 5 for 40. So offense didn't really need it. Defense played really well. Obviously got the defensive touchdown as well. So we did what we needed to do. Yeah, we did what we needed to do. It wasn't pretty, but got it done. Just got to keep curbing the turnovers. That'd be great. We can't do that against this next week. We play the Chiefs. Play them at home. It's a mid game, so should probably be the televised game of the week. Would be my guess. Spread right now is KC minus 5.5. So interesting number on the road for them.
Yeah, it seems like it should be higher, but then again, I'm a Vikings fan.
I get it. Playing on the road is never fun. So essentially, that would mean on a neutral field that they were like 7.5, 8-point favorites, which feels about right. So.
Oh my gosh, is Taylor Swift actually going to be in Minnesota at the same time? Oh, I
can't wait
to see how many times that's talked about. Like it's just every other play. Back to her. I'm like, just put a cam on her, do like a Manning cast side thing where it just shows her the whole time. So it just Well,
we shall see. Hopefully, let's see if we can steal one. I was going to say the Jets kept it close. Let's see if we can somehow beat them. I don't see it happening, but that'd be awesome.
Right. either this one or the San Fran game in a couple more weeks. We need to get at least one of them for me to even
Agreed.
remotely believe we're back into the wild card hunt. We come out of this next 4 games only 2-2. It's a loss. So, all right, moving into the NFL Pick'em. We are through 4 weeks now, so I would say the pack is starting to spread out a little bit, but really it's still pretty neck and neck. So, Nate taking the sole possession of the lead this week, separating from Nick and myself. Nate is at 7-1 through 8 weeks. Pretty impressive, getting Denver and Minnesota right this past week. He does have several good teams already used, including the Chiefs, Cowboys, Bills, and Ravens. So, I mean, this is where it's going to kind of come into play down the stretch if you want to play tortoise or hare in this game. But Nick and myself both went 1-1. I had Pittsburgh wrong, and he had Chicago wrong. Mac, Joe, Tyler, and Foster all at 5-3. Joe, Tyler, and Foster all went 2 for 2. Mac went 1 for 2. And then Connor, down at the bottom, still 500. He's 4-4, but he had New Orleans wrong this week with an injured Derek Carr, so not pretty. And then moving into week 5. Go ahead.
Yeah, for myself, I'm going to take a couple, should be pretty easy ones, couple of, I think probably the 2 bigger spreads on there this week. So I'm going to take the Dolphins over the Giants, and I'm going to take the Lions over Carolina. So a couple of the bigger names, but don't really like a couple of their schedules here the rest of the way. So I'm going to take those 2. Hopefully I got a couple safe ones. Jack's going with the Packers over the Raiders, and the Jets over Denver. So on the road, we'll see if the Jets can get it done. Jets, I totally get the pick. They don't have a great schedule the rest of the way, and Denver's obviously looked horrendous. So as good a spot as any when you know at some point you have to use the Jets. Nate, same thing. He's going to take the Jets over Denver, and he's with me. He's going to take the Lions over the Panthers. Connor's going to go Packers over Raiders and Dolphins over Giants. Joe's going to go Cardinals over Cincy. I like it. And Houston over Atlanta. So getting rid of the 2, what we thought were going to be bottom dwellers. But could very well possibly go 2-0 there. Foster's going Commanders over the Giants and Dolphins over
Dolphins over
Miami over, he's going Miami over the Giants, and the Commanders over the Bears.
There we go.
And then Nick is going with the Lions over Carolina and AZ over Cincy, and Mac finally, again, also going Lions over Carolina and Dolphins over Giants, just as myself.
I don't hate it for a lot of these. It seems like a couple of pretty obvious ones, but I'm trying to save some of those top teams. I guess the best team you could say that I've used so far, I guess, is Seattle, and everybody else is sub 500 teams. Yeah. So might not work out if I fall behind a little bit, but I'm really trying to hold on to some of those. I was tempted by the Cardinals-Bengals game to try to steal one, but I still can't imagine the Bengals lose to the Cardinals, especially because the Cardinals.
That's a tough one.
So I don't know. We'll see. Minnesota sports season long, not as great of a week for the 2 of us. I mean, you had 11, I had 10 respectively, but there was one guy that got 14 this week on a crazy win.
Was there really? Was it that high?
Yeah, and he's only 2 points above us or something like that. You're at 43, I'm at 42, so he's
leader's at 44, so
he's only 1 point above you after going 14. So I mean, he came from behind. But I don't know how you pick 14 on any given week beyond.
That's pretty crazy. But there was a few upsets, obviously.
10 was still, 10's still good. I feel like anytime I'm between 9 and 11, that's like okay to good. But some people were just higher, and we got some
14,
games wrong, Packers Lions. So that one hurt us, but we're not far off. We're pretty in it still, and there's a lot of other people that are starting to fall. So week 5, I'll rattle off my picks for the week. We do have buys starting, so I don't have to take quite as big of a breath when I pick my teams. So. Commanders over Bears, Bills over Jags, Ravens over Steelers, Lions over Panthers, Texans over Falcons, Saints over Pats, Dolphins over Giants, Colts over Titans, Bengals over Cardinals, Eagles over Rams, Chiefs over Vikings, Broncos over Jets, 49ers over Cowboys, and Packers over Raiders.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done my picks yet, but I don't see anything that's going to be terribly different. I think those are all pretty straight for me. I might mess around and take like the Pats over the Saints or something like that, but other than that, I think most feel relatively chalk thus far.
Yeah, Broncos over Jets was the other one that I was kind of back and forth on. I just think that like their offense can at least score, and I don't know that the Jets can. So, and then,
true.
Yeah. Saints and Pats, I went Saints initially just because of how rough they looked this past week. I think Carr will be a little bit
Dallas,
healthier.
Remember, they played Dallas.
Right, that's what I mean. I think Carr will be a little bit healthier, and they played a bad defense, so I think I can kind of get one, whereas the Patriots have looked bad no matter who they've played. So
yeah,
it'll be tough either way. It's just whether Carr's healthy, or I think they would have been better off this past week being the Saints if they just would have rolled Jameis out and seen what happens. So only underdog picks of the week are the Broncos at 41% over the Jets, which seems surprising to me, and then the Saints 49% over the Patriots. Basically a coin flip. I just went with the lower one to try to steal a point over some people. So
I like it.
Moving into swim upstream, we could not have been much.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
Oh, Dory.
Love
we
it.
Couldn't have been much closer this week.
Yeah.
I had Jordan Love with the first pick against Detroit. He had 17.6. I think that was like his lowest on the year, but still fine. I'll take that over the previous week when I had like 4. Tyler had Stafford versus the Colts, 16. I thought you went CJ Stroud until I went and looked at the show notes during the game on Sunday and was like, thank God.
I know. I said it, and I said I was going to, and I should have. I know on it, I said I was going to go Stafford. Stroud had just looked so legit. I was like, I should have went, but
yeah,
can you do?
So Tyler's at 69.12, quarterback 12, still no change. I'm at 67.2, quarterback 15. I gained a whopping like 1.5 points on Tyler. So right there, quarterback 15,
still,
but doesn't mean much.
No change.
It's separated by 2 points. So you're just trying to at least get to that quarterback 12. That's kind of both of our goals, competing against each other. But if we both get QB 12 or above, I don't really care at that point. So
yeah.
Week 5, you have the first pick, and it looks like you're once again passing on CJ Stroud.
I am. I really thought about it, but I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs against Cincy. I'm just going to take the guy with the rushing floor. It's gone well for me. Stroud has been putting up kind of historic numbers for a rookie passer, and pretty much all the rushing quarterbacks are barely below him, if any. And like Anthony Richardson, obviously he's a different human being, but saw a stat like he didn't even play a week, and he played barely in 1 week, and he's like 6 points behind Stroud. So that rushing floor helps so much. And from what I've watched of Arizona, Dobbs likes to pull it down and run. So I think he really has that rushing floor. So I say 35 to 40 yards. He hasn't had less than 40 yards in a game yet, but never really know. Cincy's defense has not looked great. So we'll see. I was thinking about going Sam Howell as well, but Thursday night football, those quick turnaround weeks, a lot of times I should say, those games are pretty ugly. So probably would have went Howell there because he's looked really good too. But I'm going to go for my official pick. I'm going to go with Dobbs against Cincy.
Yep, I like that one. Howell scares me. I picked him already earlier this season, and he got me like 5 or less points.
Yeah.
So different teams, I get it, but can't go back to the well when they screw me over. So I am going CJ Stroud in the hopes that he burns Tyler 2 weeks in a row here. So Stroud versus Atlanta, their defense is like kind of middle of the road. They're not great, so they don't scare me. Stroud, all the stats everybody's been talking about, he has no turnovers so far on the year, so I'm happy that I just jinxed that now. But 6 touchdowns, no picks, the most passing attempts to start a career with no interceptions, which is pretty cool. He does have a decent amount of small rushing ability too. It's not anything crazy. It's probably not even going to be as much as Dobbs, but he's got, that 3 to 4 carries on where, he's going to get a little bit, even if it's a couple extra points, 20 yards for rushing. It's helpful. And he has 20 or more points in his last 3 games fantasy wise. So again, even if he ends up on the lower end, kind of like what I did with Jordan Love, picking him on his worst week, if he ends up with 17 or so, fine. But I think their offense is starting to click. I think he's got really, it's been ping-ponging in between Nico Collins and Tank Dell every other week. So I feel like he's got 2 guys that he can rely on and should be at least like a safe floor, if not a high ceiling. So I'll take that as the second pick.
Cool. I like it.
Moving into fan interaction, we did have a couple of comments on the YouTubes last week, if you want to toss those out.
Yeah, nothing, no questions or anything like that. But Mac and Joe jumped in, so appreciate the comments. Mac was just saying, as we were talking about it, he's excited. He's got Stroud in Dynasty. He's been the Stroud truther over the Bryce Young the entire offseason, so I'd love to see that for him. And then Joe's just trashing Nick's pick'em picks, which is always good to see. It's supposed to be a fun competition. And guess what? He was right. Joe went 2-0, and Nick went 1-1. So appreciate the comments, boys. Keep it coming. And hey, guess what? Go Twins.
Weird.
Yes, sir. We win. We win a playoff game. I didn't think I was going to see it again in my lifetime.
Shut out. Yeah, always good to see that. Predictions wise, we'll kind of just cover them more. So as far as ship or skip at ones that we talked, but real quick, Justin Fields turned it around this past week. He's somebody that has struggled, but I don't think you would drop him. We said that last week. It's not worth dropping him because he has that potential. So his schedule should get better. We talked about Achan. Once we start saying his name right, we'll probably be correct. But
I was just wrong. I said there's no way he's going to be top 30. He's just going to have too much, and he just looks like that dude. So we'll see long term. But so far, I'll definitely eat crow on that one. I was wrong.
Sam Laporta continues to be a stud, just like we talked about. Consistently, he's been I think he's tight end 2 right now, so he's even above
something like that.
Most
3 or 4,
studs, which is crazy. Josh Jacobs, we talked about him bouncing back. He did so this week. He's only 7.5 points, give or take, off of a top 10 status, which is pretty crazy after such a down week. It's not been a lot of top end guys releasing from the pack. It's kind of been spreading around a little bit. So Garrett Wilson, we've been concerned about his usage just with the Jets offense overall. His target share has been great, 9 catches for 60 yards, so not amazing, but good enough at least PPR to be able to feel confident starting him. You just don't know that Zach Wilson's going to be able to get him the ball. He did look a little bit better at the end of the Chiefs game. We'll see. I just don't think their offense is going to be able to like force feed him enough to be a top end guy like you drafted him. So, and then Tyreek had a down game. Now he's only pacing for just under 2,000 yards, 1997.
Like 50 yards or something like that, 58 yards.
And then JJ only 85 yards, but he's still pacing for 2,300. So
it's because they're ridiculous.
You just step it up. Yeah. All right, so we're going to move into this one's strip it or skip it. I'm going to switch it up a little bit because I did the whole Gladiator thing last week, and a couple of people talked about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the thing, have our thumbs out, and we're just going to go 3, 2, 1, and see where we line up. We both agree. It's pretty clear that it's the consensus. We don't need to cover it much. Yeah. If we differentiate, we can say our piece and go from there. So
sounds good.
That way it's not just us both repeating why we agree on the same topic.
That sounds good.
First one, Seattle and their defense are legit and can challenge San Francisco for the division. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. No way.
Defense is legit.
I would love to see it, but their defense is legit, but they're not beating San Fran.
Yeah. All right. Bucks will win the NFC South for the 3rd straight season without Tom Brady, but with Baker Mayfield at the helm. 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna say if somebody comes out of that, I'm gonna say the Saints turn it around or the Falcons turn it around, but I don't think the Bucks stay consistent enough to win it.
They have the edge now with Carr being hurt because the Saints were my pick, but I could also see the Falcons hanging around, and it's gonna come down to divisional wins because I think they're all gonna lose to everybody else. I was like, the Bucks are what, 3-1? Falcons are 1-3, something like that. So they got a couple game lead, but we'll see. Mm-hmm. The Eagles slip up or falter, and the Cowboys end up winning the NFC East.
This is a hard one for me.
3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
I know. I'm gonna say no, simply because I don't believe enough in Dak. I don't think he's good enough.
That's also fair.
I don't think he's good enough.
And I talked about this last week and the week before, but I've thought the Eagles look.
Their defense is legit, but
the Eagles' offense has looked off, and I don't really know a specific reason why. Just Hurts has regressed a little bit from the MVP, and they aren't quite as explosive. Still, a 10 out of 10 going down to a 9 out of 10 is still great. But I actually had the Cowboys last year. I had picked them and the Eagles to meet in the NFC Championship game, and the Cowboys to upset them to go to the Super Bowl. So I believe more in the Cowboys. I think they're more of a well-rounded team than the Eagles, and their defense is more impressive, and that's what wins. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Super Bowl appearing NFC team slips up and still a wild card.
I can see that.
Bengals should bench Joe Burrow the next 2 games and let him get healthy into the Week 7 bye. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. If you bench him, you're done.
Agreed. You're just saying I give up on the division because they're already too far behind at like 1-3 or whatever they are, and so the Ravens would already continue to have run away with that division. So as much as I can see it would make sense for him personally, health-wise, you can't do it.
Yeah, agreed. If he was struggling, but they were hanging in there and just being good enough to win, different story. But you can't afford any more losses. At that point, you might as well just see where you're at the bye and then shut them down if you're eliminated.
Exactly.
All right, next couple ones here. Jahmyr Gibbs is benchable in positive matchups versus bad teams because David Montgomery will get all the work. 3, 2, 1.
I'm saying I'm saying you can bench him. I get it. But that usage there, they have shown when they're ahead, they have no issue using Monty. What did he have? 30 carries last game. They don't need Gibbs in some of these games, and he's still a rookie. They're still working him in. I feel like he plays a role in that offense, and it's when they're behind. and when they're in neutral game scripts. And so I can see individuals having enough options where you can feel okay benching Gibbs. It's not like do it automatically, but you know what I mean.
That was my reason for the no, was just like, unless you're a team that lucked out or nailed with some other picks. Don't get me wrong, if you've got better options, do it. But it's also league dependent. If you're standard, I think it's a little bit easier. If you're half or full PPR, he's more valuable. I just think fair. Gibbs is, as disappointing as it is for all of us, he's still showing it every week. He's still been more efficient with every single touch. And Campbell said straight up from the start, we are going to ease him into it. So like, I would still be relying on it's going to happen, like the explosives thing is happening, and it just takes one like 20-yard game-breaking touchdown for him to be fantasy relevant. So as far as guys in that tier of like what you're like, oh, who do I start for my flex position? Like, you're not starting him as your running back 2 anymore, but if you're starting for like a flex position, he has more upside and more potential than others, so that's the only reason I lean that way.
Yeah, totally fair.
All right, last 2 here, a couple of more benchable, droppable disappointments. Darren Waller is benchable due to the Giants' inefficiencies. 3, 2, 1.
I only agree because he has been so horrendous. And at some point, you've got to look at your team. If you're 1-3 or whatever you're at going through here, and be like, I can't. I get it. The tight end landscape in general is horrendous, but there's plenty of individuals out there. If you feel comfortable, I'm throwing like Logan Thomas out there. He's getting target share. I'm like, those are the type of individuals that you can look at and see, this man's getting 5-6 targets a game for 4 receptions and 55 yards, 60 yards. Like, that potential is there for a streaming tight end. If you feel like Waller ain't getting it done for you, I can see it. I can make the case for it, but I get the draft capital you spent. I get the argument outside of that.
I agree with everything you said. For me, I think it's a mental health business decision where it's just like, it's the same thing as Gibbs to me, where it's like, what are you choosing to start over him? If they're both going to be guys that could just as easily get you a 0, or you're hoping get 4 catches total, give me the one that at least has the potential to break a tackle and have a scoring play. Like, at least there's no reason why he's not doing it, and so it's frustrating that he's not. But at least let me do that, unless you've got some like sneaky option on the week. Or if you're picking a streamer that's playing like the Cardinals or somebody who's really bad against tight ends, sure. But I'm not ever a fan of having 2 tight ends, period. So I mean, if you're talking about benching Waller, obviously you're not going to drop him. I'm like, I don't know that I want to pick up another tight end just to close my eyes and throw a dart and hope that this other guy does what Waller could do and fall in the end zone on a given week. So
he's just not getting the targets. That's the hardest thing for me. Again, I totally get it. The talent is there. He's healthy. I get all that. But if Daniel Jones sucks so bad and he's not throwing him the ball, it doesn't matter. What good is he? You can drop Kyle Pitts. Same thing to me. Same exact thing to me. It sounds ridiculous to say you can drop Waller, you can drop Kyle Pitts, but if there's plenty of worlds where you drafted Kyle Pitts and Jake Ferguson. Roll with Jake Ferguson. Like, there's plenty of realms that's happened.
You mean like a Luke Musgrave over those
exactly,
guys?
Which is crazy. But welcome to the tight end landscape that isn't Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and Sam Laporta.
Real quick, rest of season full PPR, Kyle Pitts versus Darren Waller. You have to pick one. You can't take a 0 in your tight end position willingly.
I guess I don't even know. I guess I'm probably I'm still taking Pitts. I'm still taking Pitts.
I think in full PPR it helps because he's
agreed.
Not getting the targets, like you said. That's why I tossed it in there.
Yeah.
So.
Although apparently Jonnu Smith is just going to continue to be a fucking thorn in his side. 9 catches, come on.
The handcuff team. All right, last one. Justin Tucker is droppable. The Ravens are bottom 5 in field goal attempts per game, and they're number 1 in red zone efficiency, with 80% of it being touchdowns. So he's just not getting the points that he had statistically in the past. 3, 2, 1. Please.
I have no issue dropping him. 1, I think I have him on 5 teams. So
that's why you.
I think I legitimately have him on 3.
I don't have him on any.
He is kicker 25, Jack.
Yeah.
There are so many kickers out there, and if you're in this decimal scoring nowadays, I would literally just Google NFL red zone efficiency and find the kicker who's the middle of the pack. The Ravens are very good at scoring touchdowns. They're very good at moving the ball. They like to go for it on fourth down. 80% red zone efficiency is absolutely absurd. Don't get me wrong, that's obviously going to regress to the mean somewhere, and Justin Tucker is going to get his thing, get his opportunities. But the Ravens' offense is good, and they score touchdowns. They have so many options. Lamar can take it in anytime he wants. You got plenty of capable running backs. Mark Andrews can always catch it. So I don't know that that's going to regress to league average. So just give me a team that is very good at moving the ball, but can't put it in the end zone. Look at Dallas. Their red zone struggles are obviously continuous, and that's going to be a good offense. Invest in a good offense that can't put it in the end zone.
I basically did the exact same thing with this question with Harrison Butker, because I had him in 2 or 3 leagues this year.
Yeah.
Great kicker statistically and accuracy-wise, but they're just not giving him any chances because the Chiefs are good. So
exactly.
Should have been like me, week 2 or in like a bunch of my leagues, and I picked up Brandon Aubrey and Jake Moody from the Cowboys and the 49ers.
Exactly. And 100%, I've seen Aubrey still out there. So for whatever reason,
just because he doesn't have a name,
a
picture with his name. That's the only reason.
Exactly. And Justin Tucker is just, everybody knows who Justin Tucker is. So I think it's totally fair. If you want to drop Justin Tucker, again, you're not carrying 2 kickers. I've got no issue dropping him.
Right.
Got no issue dropping him.
Leave him as a landmine for somebody and see what happens.
Yep.
All right. Moving into the unique leagues, now that we're done with all of the Gladiator picks. We should just make that our Gladiator picks segment.
There you go.
All right. Bombsquads and Buttcheeks, those of you guys that haven't covered, are 3 NFL teams. Each person has 3 of them. There's 10 of us in the league. Tyler's team is Bills, Chargers, and Browns. He is up to 7-5. My team, we're just going to inverse each other all year. Texans, Raiders, Commanders, 5-7. I could have had the Patriots, and I would have felt so much better. The Bomb Squad team, top team, is currently Garlic at 9-3, so he's got a 2-game lead on Tyler and a couple of others. The Buttcheeks leader is Walters at 3-9, so he's got a 2-game lead on me and nobody else, because no one else is picking bad teams. Week 4 results, Tyler went 2-1, I went 1-2. Mirror. The Bills and the Chargers both won. The Browns got destroyed, unfortunately, after a solid week 3 for them. And then for me, the Texans are looking good, so I'm not loving that as my first pick. Raiders and Commanders, they both lost, but they both almost won, which doesn't feel good.
I was going to say, those 2 games were very interesting.
Raiders have been in
Jack almost went 3-0.
Yeah, they've been in every week. They went 2-0 to start the year, and then they still almost fucked around and won weeks 3 and 4. So I don't know what's happening. So week 5 preview. My teams, Texans play the Falcons, Raiders play the Packers, Commanders play the Bears. All winnable games. So I'm going to go 2-1. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be 2-1. I think the Texans will win, and I think the Commanders will beat the Bears. So I'm just going to live at 1-2 or 2-1 every week. Tyler's teams play the Jaguars and Cleveland, and then
2 on bye.
Chargers and Cleveland are both on bye. Oh my! Well, you want to know? It's going to be really interesting because Tyler's Bills should be locked for the Jags. But which of our 2 teams this week has more wins? Because I could easily pass you, unfortunately. So
you sure could. I could see you going 2-1.
Shout out to Walters. He had the first 0-3 week on the season of anybody, so that's where he got the extra game edge on me there. So we'll see if I can turn it around. But that's it for that one. Guillotine League. Did we both win? Yes, we did. I'm sorry, Glick. I was bummed for you because you kind of got screwed on the Monday night game with Gino playing like crap. And
it was brutal.
It was not great either. So the good players, notable players that got cut, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Olave, Mike Evans, Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen. I mean, he's a PPR option since that's what it is in Guillotine. So a lot of good receiving options. As far as last week's notable bids, we had Josh Jacobs go for $331. Gross. Patrick Mahomes for $225. It's a 1 quarterback league. I guess if you're really desperate or not loving your option, I get it. But Michael Pittman went for $175. Hope he helped out whoever got him for that 0 points he got me this week. Mark Andrews, probably my steal of the week with $155, and Brandon Ayuk with $113. Both great bids there. Jonathan Taylor, somebody was trying to be sneaking, got him for $60. We'll see if that pays off, if he truly is going to come back. And then Josh Palmer, $44. Any surprises or unique thoughts from our teams recently? I'll let you go first.
I mean, for me, this is just a perfect week. I need a receiver really bad. I need that consistency, and I need somebody that's going to get volume. So thankfully, there's a handful of good options that just got cut. So as long as I can get 1 of them, maybe 2 of them, I'll feel pretty good. But my running backs are getting healthy now. Kamara came back, 13 catches this last week. So obviously, it helped having Derek Carr with the AC joint sprain. He wasn't throwing it down the field. He missed Olave in a few deep ones. So Kamara, 13 catches. I don't expect that to be the norm, but I'll get Saquon back. Kamara, if he's going to continue to get that kind of volume, obviously love that. Aaron Jones should hopefully be healthy and ramp up that workload. And I got a couple of people on bye. I got Lockett and whatnot. So I got to grab me at least one or two of these wide receivers. Otherwise, I'm going to be in trouble.
As for me, I was sneaky. I talked about it with Tyler week 1, but most of my starting and top players I drafted all weeks 10, week 11, week 14 buys. So I kind of try to do that just to be not going to even have to play that game and spend early on. I'm number 1 in points through 4 weeks, which is pretty crazy. I had a big week this last one, so that's helped. Haven't had any really close weeks yet, so I'm waiting for the one where all my guys just flop and get 0. But there's been individual down performances, but then it's been kind of combined with some higher up ones. So it's felt like a very good floor team, which is nice in Guillotine so far. This has all been with Derrick Henry being crap the first weeks, and he finally did good last week. So I feel much safer at running back now, especially with Mostert coinciding, looking like crap. Nico Collins continues to be a steal for me. I got him almost double-digit rounds. I just took a shot on, which was great. And then Hollywood Brown, we talked about earlier, but he's starting to become a solid PPR option. So feeling pretty balanced despite Darren Waller as my tight end. So maybe a tight end eventually. Probably not looking at any of these guys big unless I get somebody for cheap value. Not trying to spend big on this week. So we will see what happens there. As far as best ball week 4 results, I lost. I'm down to 2-2. Tyler won. He is also at 2-2. So at this point, neither of us are looking great. We're going to see which of us beats each other. But I had Geno and Daniel Jones both just be terrible with under 10 points. So here's hoping that Kyler Murray comes back, because I was hoping at least one of these two was going to be a QB1 like they were drafted.
Yeah. For me, my receivers, my studs have continued to be studs. I have no depth in my team, but I've got Diggs, I've got St. Brown, I've got Lamar. My studs are carrying me, but God forbid once bye weeks come around and if injuries happen, I'm going to be in big trouble. But so far so good. So studs are carrying me, and let's just keep it that way.
Yeah, for me, drafting Jonathan Taylor in the second round or whatever I did, that turns out it is not working well. I've got Mike Williams out for the year, so it's not looking real pretty for me. As far as the DFS league, speaking of things not looking pretty, holy crap, it was rough.
What do you mean? I love it.
Shout outs to the top 3 scores of the week. Tyler with a 174.56, number 1 on the week, lower than the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Kind of an embarrassing top score,
but significantly higher than anybody outside of the top 3 to 4. So I mean, you made up more points. It doesn't really matter if you score higher as long as you're making that difference. Shout out to Ben taking the silver medal with 160.3, and then KP, a friend in our Madden league, with 153.82. So those 3 guys are the top. I now have a running Excel spreadsheet that we didn't have last week to talk about for overall tracking through 4 weeks. So Tyler claims the number 1 spot overall in the season. He jumps up 4 spots. What's crazy, really quick, before I tell who the top 5 currently are, it's the exact same top 5 as last week, just in a different order. So nobody has jumped in yet.
That's crazy.
Which was pretty surprising. Tyler jumped up 4 spots with his week. You over doubled what my score was. I was the previous winner, so I am now down to 2 after that dominant week. Only 23 points behind, so not bad with the early difference, but that hurt. I dropped down 1 spot to 617. Ryan climbs up 1 spot to 607. Nick drops down 2 spots to 593, and then Glick is down to 2 spots to 572, rounding out the top 5. But just behind Glick, we have Jordan a point behind him, and Nod for Dot. I don't know who you are, so let me know who it is. 4 points back. So we've got a very close group for 5th place. Only 3 of us at 600 points or above. I mean, that's averaging 150 a week, so that's pretty solid. So we'll see if we can continue. But another segment, another Tyler and I in first place. So first and second.
Love it.
Really quick, top fire/value picks of the week. I'm trying not to do these as just the highest scorer, because that doesn't tell you anything. I'm trying to pick one that was the most value for lower budget what you picked. So Justin Fields, I had him in Sunday morning, and I switched to Kirk Cousins, which makes me so sad. Justin Fields had 6,600 value, 32.9 points versus the Broncos. Kyron Williams, 6,000. He just had all the touchdowns for 30.7 points. Nico Collins, 5,100, had 38.8 points. And Cole Kmet, our number 1 tight end of the week, at only 4,000 with 27.6. So we'll cover some DFS stuff a little bit later. But now we're going to move into the matchup recap for Victoria's Secret.
Awesome. So, Victoria's Secret, Jack and I had less fun than we have in previous weeks. So, yeah, it was not fun. So Josh took me down first one. Alex over Glick, Foster over Walters, Jordan over Ryan. Literally came down to the last drive on Monday Night Football. The Seahawks had a chance to kick the field goal, decided to go for it on fourth down. Ryan needed Jason Myers' field goal to win, but instead loses by 1 and change. So that was brutal for him. Cassie over Jack, and then Ben over Jay. So me and Jack both went 0-2 in the week. We did not play well. What can you do? So we're at 4th and 5th, still in the playoffs at 5-3. Foster rounds it out at 5-3 as well for the 6th spot. And then the top 3 are Ben, Josh, and Alex up top at 6-2. So all relatively close, obviously still early.
Even adding that extra point against the spread kind of game, the fact that the top 3 are above us by 1 game it feels pretty good. I was waiting for somebody to be 7-1, 8-0 kind of thing. So
yeah,
as far as the dynasty
a lot of parity
stuff, I had a good week. We kind of snaked by in the DFB league. 3-1 now. I got a win with 80 points. That was partially by Deshaun Watson being a surprise inactive Sunday morning. So I tried to get cute and put his backup in, Dorian Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson Robinson.
Yeah, because he ran a ton in college, and I was like, well, baseline at least maybe. He got like 1.7. So I would have started any quarterback. I should have been in like a 100-point range, but got the win. Luckily, I was playing Walters, who's tanking. So I'm 3-1 in that, surprisingly, after a pretty roller coaster start to my tenure there. I took 3rd place. I won the championship. I missed the playoffs entirely, and now I'm back up in the playoff hunt. So, and then won in the Taco League, 4-0 currently. So it's starting just like the dynasty power rankings have predicted. So feeling good, but I've played some easy teams. We'll see what happens. Tyler, your weeks.
I'm just over here playing the top scorer week after week after week after week. Like I put up 105, and Dave was like, "Hey, how about a 160 in standard?" So that was super duper fun. So needless to say, I lost. So it dropped me down to 2-2. But I'm done messing around. I went to the farm leagues. I went to the taxi. I'm done with Dak. Bring me up some Anthony Richardson.
Yes.
Bring me up some Achane. Let's do it.
Did you draft Achane?
I drafted them both back to back.
Nice.
I had Dave's pick at the 112 to get Richardson, and then I had the 201 myself, and I picked Achane right after that. So those were my first and second round pick.
Jeez, that's crazy that he went to 112. He went 106 in our league.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I was surprised he dropped that far as well. So yeah, I got A-Rich at 112 and then Achane at 201.
Yeah, even Achane went 107 to Foster in our other league, so that's very different. Man, I had the 105 in that one, and then I didn't have another pick, so I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what I did in Taco. I had the 101 and not another pick.
You checked out after that. Well, yeah, I had the whole rest of the first round, so it was a busy day.
That is true. Well, that's what I did in DFB. I had 101 and 102, and then 112 and 201. So I had some fun ones.
The rookie draft is like one of the best parts about Dynasty.
So fun.
And so I would so much rather have multiple picks than have no picks, because it's so unfun to be like, all right, I'm starting the draft, and then I just don't care. It's fun to be like, all right, slow draft, you got 12 hours on the clock. Oh my God, he picked somebody. Who do you pick? Oh, my guy's going to make it. So yeah. Anyway, sometimes you just want to trade for first rounders just to make it more fun in April. Yeah.
So I love being a 2-2, but being one of the top scorers. But I've just run into the buzzsaw.
Points. We have the same like points total within 2 or 3 points, and I'm 3-1 technically, and I feel like I've underperformed but gotten lucky. So
yeah. So hopefully having Richardson in my QB spot now, I think will obviously raise that floor even more. And I got a plethora of running backs, so I mean I'm feeling good there.
Please,
yeah.
Good night.
Yeah. Obviously Javante's hurt, but I was like, I got Javante, Achane, I've got James Conner, I've got Tony Pollard. Like, I've got more than I can play.
Eckler just needs to come back because J.K. Dobbins is already out for the year for me. So, all right.
I'll take a receiver, Jack. I know you got plenty of them.
I have a bunch of them. I just don't know if any of them are any good. So we'll have to
we'll talk
and see.
We'll collude offline here.
Perfect. Add/drop it like it's hot. Quick few waiver targets. I'll just rattle them through. There's not a whole lot to talk about because we've covered a lot of them. But
yeah,
quarterback, CJ Stroud, 30%. I think if you picked him up, he's actually a potential low starter for the rest of the year at this point. Jimmy G, 13% gross. Sam Howell, 9%, also gross, but he's versus the Bears this week. And then Josh Dobbs, like Tyler talked about, he's only at 2%, so you could get kind of sneaky on getting him since it looks like Kyler's still a little ways off. Running backs, Tyjae Spears, 20%, Chuba Hubbard, and then Jaleel McLaughlin, who, if you're wondering who that is, for the Broncos, especially with Javonte leaving the game last week, McLaughlin came in and was one of the values of the week at running back. So could be a sneaky pickup depending on what Javonte's injury turns out to be. Wide receiver, we have Wan'Dale Robinson at 1.5%. Michael Wilson, the number 2 in Arizona, at 1.4. He had a solid week this past one, kind of jumping up. And then Jameson Williams, the surprise reduced suspension at only 16.3% owned. My plan was going to be to announce him this week to be a sneaky pickup like 1.5 weeks in advance, but now he's already active. So if you haven't already had somebody pick him up in the league, go try to grab him and see, because he, is going to be the number 2 receiver right off the bat there. And then tight ends, Jake Ferguson and Luke Musgrave, the exact same 2 we talked about last week, and somehow their percents went down. So 34 and 24%. I think those are guys that, if we're talking about the Darren Wallers and Kyle Pitts, I would slide either of them in pretty easily. So,
agreed.
As far as big money ads of the week, this past week, we like to talk if there's any that are notable or interesting. The only real one that we put in here was me adding Josh Palmer for $37. He had a decent game. I think he only had 3 catches, but it was like 9 targets. So a good target share. Clearly was the number 2 looked at option over Quentin Johnston, which is what I was banking on. So I hope that he will actually be able to put up some low flex relevant numbers throughout the season, or just be able to help with bye weeks. But feels like a good pickup. I think you were the second highest bidder and not super far off behind. So felt like about right
28.
Yeah, under $10 spent extra. So is what it is to go get your guy, when I really only had 1 to 2 guys on the bench that were worth dropping. And I was just like, I'm going to get somebody else that actually feels startable if I have to, not just stupid 2-point names. So real quick, we have a jack of all trades breaking news one that happened today. Alex and Jay in our home league, which is half PPR, 2 flex, 1 quarterback scoring. Blockbuster trading basically the
big names.
Arguable 101 in most people's leagues. Alex got Justin Jefferson from Jay, as well as Trevor Lawrence, and Jay on the other side did it a QB swap. So Jay got Lamar, Garrett Wilson, and DeAndre Swift back. I'll let you kind of just give, if you have any quick 2 cents of a thought there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really interesting. It feels very fair on both sides. I think I like Jay's side a little bit better, simply because of us having the extra flex spot. So that depth is such a massive piece for it. So obviously it's never fun to give up Justin Jefferson. And again, reminder, most of us are in Minnesota. We're Vikings fans, every single one of us. So the fact that Justin Jefferson got traded is near blasphemy to us. So we were never expecting that. But Jay getting Lamar is obviously a massive upgrade over Trevor Lawrence. So huge weekly difference maker. DeAndre Swift looks like he's going to be that dude, and Garrett Wilson can turn into Garrett Wilson any week, hopefully, or if they have a QB switch. So I really actually lean Jay winning this because he got some great return and an additional depth.
Yeah, I also lean that way, surprisingly, which, again, I know it's so tough to give up Justin Jefferson. It makes sense for Alex. He's 6-2 right now, so I think getting like a star piece when you feel good. It's very team context. Like, Alex's team is, it's obviously not a lock through only 4 weeks, but his team is poised to be at least a playoff hunt team. And Jay being 0-6, like, I think if you were at least middle of the pack, you probably just roll with Jefferson. But at this point, you got to make some kind of switch up. And I think the couple of flex guys he's been having to start are not doing it. Like, his depth just took a big hit with some injuries and some misses. So I think it makes sense, again, in team context where he just needed some extra depth. Same thing, like you said, if you would only had 1 flex, I think I just want the better player, but this is the unique situation where not getting the better player in the trade overall, or the best player, actually still kind of works out for you. It's 3 different guys. They're going to basically be starters the rest of the season for you. It's just going to come down to whether Garrett Wilson is a wide receiver 20 or better. I think if he's a wide receiver 20 or better from here on, I think you win it, because you got a running back 1-2 and a wide receiver 1-2 plus a QB improvement. If he just struggles and he's more of a flex guy, I think it'll be Al that kind of better into the deal. But I like it for Jay's team context better. So, all right, Tyler, if you want to rattle off the notable injuries, we'll get into the final sections here.
Yeah, thankfully, nothing too crazy this week. Kenny Pickett's got a bone bruise. They were initially thinking like MCL, but saying a bone bruise now, potentially out week 5, but he might be all right. Fryermuth as well, fun little running mate for him. Hamstring injury, likely out a couple weeks. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Eckler, not surprisingly, sat out this week, and now they're going to a week 5 bye. But then he should likely be back. So you're welcome, Jack. He's excited to come back and play for you. Justin Herbert, during the game, fractured finger on his non-throwing hand. This man is very tough. He came back and played the rest of the rest of the game, and they asked him about it afterward, and he said, "It is but a flesh wound." Threw out a little Monty Python out there, so I love him even more. Javonte Williams, hip flexor, say won't miss much time, but again, like we talked about, Jaleel McLaughlin looked good, so somebody to keep an eye on. Mike Evans, hamstring injury. He's going to get an MRI to see kind of the grade of it. They said mild, whatever that means, but they go on bye this week, so likely just fine and back for week 6 if it is indeed a mild hamstring injury. And lastly, T. Higgins fractured his ribs. My guess would be he's out for week 5. In an interview I saw today, he's like, I'm good. I should be all right. I don't know how that's possible, and I'm calling BS, but he's said he's not ruling himself out. So I think he's crazy, and he's likely out week 5, but we'll see. But that's what we got.
Speaking of mild hamstring injuries in Mike Evans, as the Keenan Allen owner of last year, let me tell you, mild hamstring is about the most terrifying thing I could hear. So we'll see.
Ask Cooper Kupp about his still day-to-day status from the preseason.
Day to month. Perfect. All right, now we're going to move into the betting corner to round things off. So I'll let Tyler rattle off his bets and lines of the week, and then I will quickly cover my DFS stuff.
Yeah, I had a good week 4. So I had a couple plus monies out there that hit. I jumped on. I got into it perfectly. I jumped into an anytime touchdown score with Mark Andrews. Legitimately, I jumped on it right as Odell and Rashad Bateman got ruled out. So I got it at 2-1. And it closed at -150. So the book's probably really mad at me, and he obviously scored twice. So that'll help a week anytime you hit a 2-1. So I went 3-2 on the week. So I was up 1.96 units on the week. So put me 8-7 on the year, but a few that I've hit are plus money. So I'm up 2.06 units on my props. My teasers are going poorly, so just fade me if I start putting out teasers. But I'm 1-3 on the year for -2.5 units. But I hit the straight under on the Dallas and New England game for +1 unit. So overall, that would put me at about 1.06 units up if you're going to do all combined. But if you're just here to listen for props, we're already up over 2 units in the first 4 weeks. So we'll keep rolling. Week 5, nothing yet that have jumped out at me. If I do a Wong teaser, I'll probably do the Lions down to -2.5 and the Texans up to like +9. But haven't bet it just yet. We'll see where it settles because nothing's really jumped out at me. And then we'll see props on Friday.
Cool. Yeah, it's early. All right. DFS ones. I won't spend a whole lot of time on my team this past week because, This is why it would be nice to have the DraftKings challenge open early on so I could really build my lineup for you guys on air. But let's just say that the people I suggested to be picked, I didn't go with a lot of them, and it showed because I was 12th on the week. So wins, James Cook with 14 points, I guess, was my top win. I had losses by Kirk Cousins, Raheem Mostert, Tank Dell, and Kittle. 1.9 points. They had Debo out, and Ayuk was hampered coming into the game. How the frick do you not get George Kittle involved? This was my he's going to explode week, and
he's just very good at blocking.
Oh yeah, this was my I'm not picking George Kittle ever again because I can't trust the San Fran offense. So it's just I saw how cheap he was, and I was so excited. I'm like, this is going to be my what wins the week because other people are going to have random 8-point tight ends, and he's going to be George Kittle and go off. And then another loss, Eagles defense I picked because I had money left over from all these guys that I had got cheap that I thought were values that weren't. The Eagles defense had 4 points versus the Commanders when everybody was like, they're going to have so many sacks and they've had tons of turnovers every week. And the Commanders put up 30 plus points anyways. This week is going to be better. I'm going to center myself. Again, the full active challenge is not open right now, so I'm basically just trying to pick mostly guys that are in that 6,000 or below range, give or take, just for some cheaper options to fill your lineups with. First one, kind of getting a little gross. So you gotta take a deep breath and get your steel underpants out. But Joshua Dobbs, Tyler's swimming upstream pick of the week, only 5,200, and he's versus the Bengals, who can't figure stuff out. It's just that rushing baseline plus the very, very cheap value that's kind of interesting to me. And it was more driven by the fact that I'm pairing him with one of my favorite wide receiver picks of the week, Hollywood Brown at 5,000 only, who seems very, very cheap in a full PPR context. He's got weeks of 19 and 13 the last couple of weeks, so I think they're just going to keep feeding him, and it seems like a very, very cheap stack of a quarterback wide receiver I can get for like 10 grand. Running backs wise, Devon Achane, he's only 6,100 despite the last two blowout weeks. Obviously, you got to assume the spikes with just touchdown heavy stuff keeps going. So if not, that could be a lower one. But he's versus the Giants. They've given up the fourth most rushing yards and the third most rushing tight ends to running backs. So could be a very spike week again. And then David Montgomery, probably my most expensive pick out of all these guys, 6,600, but he's versus Carolina, who have given up the fourth most fantasy points to running backs. So picking against some ugly defenses with guys that have been explosive lately. My other wide receivers rounding things out, I got Garrett Wilson, 6,000. I know Zach Wilson has struggled, but Garrett's going up against Denver this week. They're bottom third in catches, yards, and touchdowns given up to wide receivers. So they can't stop anything. They couldn't even stop the Bears receivers last week. And then lastly, receiver Jordan Addison, 5,300. I've picked him a lot in DFS just because he's cheap and he has that game-breaking big catch potential. We're going up against the Chiefs, like we talked about. They're going to score a lot. We're probably going to have to throw to keep up with him. I just need one. I just need a 30 to 40-yard touchdown from him, and I'm good. Last couple, tight end, Dallas Goedert. I didn't love a lot of the tight end options this week, but while he hasn't done great, he's got 18 targets over the last 3 weeks, which is pretty good for tight ends, and they're going up against the Rams, who are bottom third defense versus tight ends. I'm kind of just picking a previous safe name who hasn't done a lot because I'm expecting positive regression. And then lastly, defense pick, Patriots, 3,100 versus New Orleans. Carr is probably playing again, but he looked terrible, as did most of their offense this past week. So just picking a team that is historically a good defensive team versus an offense that's struggling. So that is my picks for the week. We'll see what happens, and hope to God I can improve on 12th. So we have now made it to the best part. Four Horsemen weekly draft segments. So once again, Group Me's and Facebook just not lining up whatsoever. Tyler won both Group Me polls, and then the Facebook crew just came out in full force and was like, "That's cute."
I knew I hated Facebook.
I'm telling you, you got to share too. You got to get your own people to comment on your status, and then
This is some bullshit.
So yeah, it was Tyler leading in both, and then I took it out 23 to 10. So shout out to us getting 33 votes total, but everybody loved it on the Team 1 side, which, spoiler alert, was me. We had favorite or best places to nap. You guys can go back and listen for our individual picks or go check out my Facebook. But I try to add in each week some cool or like some notable comments versus people that just say Team 1, Team 2, like ones that actually have reasons is kind of funny. So I'll keep these going if there's some good ones. But shout out to a few of them of this past week. Pat, always one of our top commenters with descriptions. Team 1 had better locations / places to lie down. So I guess Tyler had a few that were more leaned over, bent, and Pat was a big, I got to lie down while I nap guy. Sarah Schiltz on the other side. Team 2, she said couch and car passenger naps are underrated and unparalleled. So that was big. Both Katie, your wife, and then Mac in our team, or in our league, both said Team 2 because it's all about passing travel time. So time travel, like we said. Joe suggested to take a nap while driving to really lift things up. And he also said that an honorable mention pick should have been the corner booth at a gross college bar because we didn't say best places to pass out, but I mean, we've all done it. So
You've been there.
We found out that Nick hates the beach because it means sunburn, because he apparently isn't capable of putting on sunscreen before he takes a nap. So what can you do there? And then Connor, I guess the one that I've been the most unified on as far as nap opinions, but he said napping on its own is fun, and he went with the most comfortable spot. So he was more kind of with mine, like the same thing as Pat's with lying down. So yeah, shout out to all of you guys. Appreciate you giving us your actual 2 cents on it. But that brings the season 2 totals to a whopping 2-0. So we're feeling good so far.
Facebook is the worst. I'm so salty about Facebook.
You always group me with Facebook, and there's just more.
It's ridiculous, and there's just more people on Facebook.
And I try to switch it up. I randomize who's Team 1 and who's Team 2, so that people aren't just like Jack's Team 1 done. Which is So this week's topic, which I didn't do prep until during this episode, so prepare yourself. But Tyler might be a bit more prepared because he's more of the baseball guy. But we went with.
I was going to say I'm a baseball guy at heart. So if I lose this one, I might cry.
Yeah. I'm just banking
I'm
on
going to
being-
lose it. I can feel it, and I'm going to be so sad.
You're going to lose it, hopefully, by my first pick. So that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Best fictional baseball players. So in any form of media, they just can't be an actual baseball player in a, like, you know, they were a real baseball player, but they happen to be in a movie. They can't be picked.
Yeah.
I have the first pick this week because Tyler had.
This is pretty automatic.
Last week. I don't know that it is because there's two clear top ones to me, and I feel like you didn't think of one of them.
Probably.
I'm not getting the other one, but let me just say I got my own sound for this one.
I got nothing.
Can't hear it?
No.
Perfect. And let me just say I'm starting out number one with one that people probably wouldn't have thought of as the 101 pick, but I'm going with the secret weapon, Pablo Sanchez from Backyard Baseball days.
Fair enough.
So there are two clear ones. That one felt the most iconic to me as far as because he was just OP. He was everybody's first pick growing up in that game. He hit for power. He was a top pitcher. He was crazy fast. His strike zone was this. So there was no way you're ever getting him out. And I think he was just dominant for a lot of our nostalgia childhoods. So
For sure. Well, the correct 1.1 is from The Sandlot, and his name is Benny the Jet.
That's the other one. He's fast.
That is
He's not as much of a power hitter as Pablo, but I mean, that's fine.
I'm not trying to win baseball games. I'm going with iconic fictional baseball characters.
It doesn't say iconic. It says best. So, I mean, let's be fair.
Oh, we're good. Okay, fine. Then my other one, I'll take Roy Hobbs from The Natural, who is literally the... Yeah, so I'll take
one.
Benny and the Jet, and I'm taking Roy Hobbs.
I'm going to be honest. He was like 7 or 8 on my list just because it's not like a...
Nobody,
like I've seen the
nobody
movie
knows who that
once.
is.
Yeah, I've seen the movie once, but it was never one that would be like...
He is
But as
the
far as
best
OP,
fictional baseball player on this list.
Is he, though?
He is.
There's somebody else in another movie that
Oh, I know exactly
had a
who it
better
is.
game than you could pretty much have no matter what you did, even if you were playing on Create a Player. So I don't know. All right.
Okay.
Well, Benny the Jet was the obvious other. There's two 1As, and he was the other one.
Yeah.
I just had to go true
Again,
to my heart.
I was like, I already know I lost this because of picking Roy Hobbs. He's the correct answer for all of you non-baseball people, but I know
You could have
who
probably
the
gotten him
more
with
popular
fourth,
people are going to be here.
Yeah, you could have gotten him probably with the fourth. That's the only downside is like but yeah, I had to go true. I think Benny the Jet will get you a lot of points because people are diehard Sandlots, but Backyard Baseball was big part of it.
That's a good one. Honestly, totally forgot about him.
And that's the other thing. I said this to a couple of people off air that were sending in their picks because Joe, I asked if he wanted to be a part of it because he's a big baseball guy and he ended up not having time. But I was like, I am taking Pablo 101, but my fear is that I could take him with my second pick and Tyler wouldn't take him, but I can't.
You could have taken him with your fourth. I honestly forgot.
I was considering doing Benny the Jet and then
I did this off the top of my head, so I was like, I tried to not cheat with this one.
That's fair. I just started going through what baseball movies have I seen and what baseball things. And
Which is exactly what I did, where I came up.
All right. The other ones.
Okay, I know where we're going here.
I know one of my two picks. I don't know if it's necessarily like the best. It's just I think kind of going more with my heart here. But one of my more favorite baseball movies, probably not like top quality movie, but as far as just entertaining to watch, mostly because it was all of our dreams as kids growing up, like wanting to make it to the big leagues and stuff like that. Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
A freak accident with a man who goes by many names. Ribbenflauber, Rosenbagger, Henry Rowan Gardner.
That's right.
Pick. You have a freak injury, and all of a sudden you can throw 100-mile-an-hour gas, and he's just OP as a kid playing in the major leagues. The best,
he was one of mine too.
Sports scenes of all time was when he lost his ability, and he had to do all the trick plays, like the tossing it up and catching, and just like all the how do I get outs. It reminded me of like Mike, where he was having to manufacture points when he didn't have his ability anymore. So he was one of mine. He was my 103 after the two obvious ones that I really, really wanted to get. And then from there, I have two tiers. There's old ass movies where the Roy Hobbs category was in, and there's basically another movie that has multiple characters. I was trying to say. So I'm just going to go with, I don't know which of these guys to pick is the problem. So, I've got some pitching already with Rowan Gardner. So I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go with more of a do-it-all kind of guy and just one that was the strong motivation for the team. So I'm going with a major league pick, which I'm sure is multiple people on the list, but I'm going with Willie Mays Hayes because he's just
there you
very
go.
unbelievable. You've seen the plays in the outfield. He freaking climbs the wall, stands on top of it to make defensive plays. He's crazy fast. He steals home at will. He's good stuff. So Major League, one of my favorite sports movies of all time. Was very conflicted on who to pick from that movie, but I think as far as like consistent best, there's another one that likely should also be picked, but he's a little more streaky and scary. So that's what I'm going.
I can't believe you didn't pick him. I can't believe you didn't pick him. Everybody knows. Yeah, everybody knows that if you have seen the movie Major League, you got to go with the wild thing. Ricky Vaughn. Give him the heater, Ricky. It's Ricky Vaughn. That was the correct choice, and you should have just doubled up on pitching and just had an unstoppable rotation.
a two-person.
100%.
Are you going Ricky Vaughn then? Is that your?
I am 100% going Ricky Vaughn. And to round it out, I mean, the other icon from one of the other best baseball movies of all time, Bull Durham. Give me the catcher. Give me Crash Davis.
Crash, yeah.
If I lose this, I absolutely quit. I have four of the best characters, period.
It's true. I was torn on that one because I remembered in the movie, like he was like the grizzled veteran who was like okay, but I was debating taking Tim Robbins' guy in that movie, Lelouch, the pitcher. Yeah, I was like, nope. I'm debating taking him because he's like the actual phenom all-star guy, whereas everyone loved Crash.
Crash goes to the majors too.
Yeah, but then he gets sent down and then he gets released and he's like, we don't need you anymore. So that's where I was like, he's an iconic player. But then I was like, I don't know if I should take him or not because he wasn't even like the best on his team. And yeah, so that's a great pick. I love Boulder. I can watch Kevin Costner stuff all the time. So
yes,
especially draft day, even though it's not good. Beyond that, I had Roy Hobbs. I had
you still have one more, don't you?
Yeah, no, I was looking at all these older movies of who to pick.
Sure.
There's a couple that I never watched, so I would feel inauthentic taking them. So I don't feel right, but I'll cover them after the fact. The only other one I'm really considering, it probably is not going to get me a lot of votes. This one is like the first time where I'm genuinely only going heart picks, and I'm pretty confident I'm losing because of it, but I'm picking like some of my favorite baseball movies. So I'm just going to do it because I think you've already probably won it. But probably a low on the list of baseball movies that have been seen. But for those of you that have watched it, it's very, very entertaining, and he's a very entertaining actor in anything he's in. He's a very cocky SOB, but can't not like him. So we're talking Bernie Mac here. We're going to Mr. 3000. Yeah, Stan Ross. Stan the Man Ross was was very, very good of a character.
It's a decent movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's very underrated. I feel like not talked about.
Agreed.
I won't spoil anything as far as the endings by mispronouncing this, but getting 3,000 hits, period, and it says something. That's Hall of Fame caliber player. So the fact that he did that and basically retired and then came out and still was performing beyond that. So love that movie. I think those of you that have seen it, it'll win me a vote for my last pick. But might not be the most well known. So I'll put the movies in here for some of these.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, we'll put the names and the movies just because most people have probably seen the movies, but maybe not the names.
I don't want these Gen Z and millennial people being like, "Who's Crash Davis?" I don't understand. So we need to put the movies in. Please don't draft based on just the movies. Go off the players, but we're not drafting best baseball movies. But we want you to know where they're from. So
yeah, fair enough.
That rounds out the list. I got Pablo Sanchez from Backyard Baseball, Henry Rowengartner from Rookie of the Year. I took Willie Mays Hayes from Major League, and then Stan the Man Ross from Mr. 3000. So, and then
I got Benny the Jet. I got the Wild Thing. I got me some Crash Davis and Roy Hobbs. That's a crew.
I see you putting Roy Hobbs at the 4th spot. Don't you be sneaky, not taking him with the number 2.
So you can put him wherever you want. If I lose this one, you can put him wherever you want.
That's true. I've just always put them in the order, so I didn't even think about that.
Oh, that's...
No. We're good. Yeah. Tyler went for like the classic top baseball movies, and I think I went for just all children's movies, it turns out. So.
Yeah, there you go. And there were so many other ones that could have been on this list.
Oh, yeah. Was there anything else that like actually came to the top of your head? Because there was 2 or 3 more for me.
Yeah, Nuke was 100% on there. Ham. Obviously,
had
Porter.
him at the dark horse, yeah.
Porter should have been out there.
It's gonna be a quick game. I put lunch.
Yeah, I put Chet Steadman on there as well from Rookie of the Year.
That
was a solid one. And then the other one that I just thought would have been super entertaining and would have been my first alternate if you would have taken one of these guys was Kenny Powers, Eastbound and Down.
I didn't get into that ever, so
like I said, he was an alternate, and that would have been a niche pick for about 10 of us.
The only other one I considered where I was like, I know the two that are going to get taken from this movie, but I genuinely thought about Pedro Serrano for the from Major League. I
thought about that too.
Dude figured out the curveball, and he was a monster.
Yeah.
This one I saw it way back in the day, but I can't tell you I've seen it in the last 15 years. But For the Love of the Game with Billy Chappell.
Oh, Billy, yeah.
I thought about that. And then Brendan Fraser's Steve Nebraska. That was the one I was talking about where he was like, he pitched in the World Series in his first game and he had like 27 strikeouts and perfect immaculate game. I'm like, yeah. I didn't remember the movie enough to justify picking either of those guys. So
yeah, agreed.
My list makes me want to go watch the three movies from mine very badly, though. I think movie watchability and entertainment wise, they're very, very good. I think baseball player wise, Tyler's are much better. So if you listen to this late in the draft, we appreciate you enough for me to tell you probably pick Tyler's team.
You heard it. I'm gonna spam that everywhere.
That have listened for an hour and a half. I'll give those votes. That's okay.
I'm clipping that and posting that shit everywhere.
A week, vote Tyler's team. All right, so next week's topic, Tyler, I'm going to let you pick because we didn't really solidify this, but I came up with a few ideas. So if there's any that sound good to you, I was going to do some kind of a spooky related theme, but I know you're not a horror guy, so I couldn't really do horror movies. So.
You can. I just haven't seen them.
Best horror movie villains? Have we done that before? We've done villains.
We've probably done something similar-ish. We've done like best villains.
We've done villains because we had Darth Vader and the Joker and stuff. But
yeah. So
you pick whatever topic you want to do next week.
We can do best fall things. We can do October-ish fall things. I was
gonna say let's do a caveat that it's like October because otherwise I feel like football is gonna be the first pick and that's not like a fall. If you're thinking like October season, like true fall, I'll leave it at that. But yeah,
okay. So I just get Halloween and I win. Because apparently all your friends like Halloween and I don't.
That's true. Best months. Does it carry over to best October things? Yeah, that's true. All right, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do best.
I was like, we can do the other one too. I don't know what best duos draft means, but that's
kind of just like teach their own, like just two things that go together. So whether it's like two famous athletes, like a celebrity couple, a fork and spoon, just whatever. When you come to like,
let's do that. Let's do that.
Best duos.
Let's do best duos.
All right. Do you want it to be people, or do you want it to just be like any two things?
Any duo. Any duo. Because we're gonna get real creative. I've got a couple already swirling around in the noodle.
I already know of the 101, so I'm gonna write it down here on my show notes separately, and then we're gonna see where it is next week.
Yep.
All right. Perfect. Right. Best duos, everybody. Let us know your picks. All right. That's gonna be it. So I'll let Tyler kind of wrap it up here, so we can get out of here finally.
All right, Pod Squad. Appreciate everyone listening.
That was it.
Yep, I knew, and that's what it'll be. I appreciate everyone listening. It's always been great. We appreciate all the continued support. Again, we continue to get subscribers almost weekly, which is great. We've increased the last couple days. So the last couple of weeks we've kept increasing and not decreasing. So it's certainly been great. And we appreciate all the interaction. We'll get a couple more videos out there. I streamlined my shorts process, Riverside got a nice cool update for us as well with some of the captions, so make it even easier. So appreciate the time as always. Appreciate the listen. Appreciate the likes. Appreciate the subscribers. Until next time, Pod Squad. Peace out.
See ya. Go Twins.
Thank you for listening to the Victorious POD podcast. Follow us on YouTube at the Victorious POD.